Today's episode is brought to you by the Vegas Beer Guys and the Sounds in Cinema podcast.
Everything sequel contains explicit language. And why the fudge not, you melon farmer?
We're talking Austin Powers in Goldmember today. My name is Michael Schantz. I'm from the How Dare You Awards. Joining me, your friend and mine, Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions. Hello, Tom.
Hey assholes! Over here, a mini-me! Come and get me!
You made the right choice.
It was almost worth the physical and mental torture of Vern Troyer to have Danny DeVito play mini-me in the Meta movie.
I've been ruminating about this for a long time, actually, since we finished our last episode. It's a broader conversation about comedy in general.
Yeah.
Like, what are your feelings about? Like, I'm immediately going off on a tangent, but
that's fine. I love it.
But like, where do you lie on? Like, is inappropriate humor just no longer allowed? Because inappropriate humor has always made me laugh, and I was thinking about this the other day, and what you were saying about Vern Troyer, and you're not wrong about any of it, about his advocacy, but you seemed to be equating it, or at least it sounded to me like you were almost putting it on a level as any woman who's been alone in a room with super
Steven
asshole.
Seagal?
No, well, Steven Seagal, but I was, I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. I just erased it from my memory. But,
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein, yeah. And
I agree that I'm actually really pleased that is now his legacy. That when someone's like, oh, what's the name of the guy? You know, he traps women in hotel rooms. Because for so long it was Pulp Fiction. You know, one of the greatest movies of all time. Now he's getting the legacy that man deserves.
That he deserves. So at any rate, I mean, do you view those things as equivalent? Because Vern Troyer, I mean, I still get that, like, the idea behind his advocacy, but he could have said no.
Yeah.
I get that he has less power, so obviously the idea of being in a major motion picture, of becoming famous, and all the trappings of that, to anybody would seem like something to do, but he has the choice. And there are lots of people that have not had choices. And so I don't know that they're equivalent. Like, you were talking about the abhorrency of it, and I don't know, I've just been thinking about it like all day.
I wasn't even thinking of you know, what was actually going on off screen. More that the way it appears on screen and you know, the essentially the power connotations.
Right.
The power imbalance.
Because I don't imagine there's ever a day he was treated poorly on set. I imagine he was as important as anybody else on set. But I'm talking
about when I say physical and mental torture, I mean what he experiences in the course of the movie.
The character, right?
What the actor is forced to do as well.
Okay, yeah.
But going no further than that, I'm not casting any aspersions on Mike Myers, but you know, I'm purely going with what we see on screen, which is why I'm far more favorable to Mini-Me in this movie, because I feel like at some point they've kind of said, well, let's try and do some higher level physical comedy with him.
Gotcha.
I don't know if that was a conscious choice, but certainly it makes it far more palatable, and it just overall seems a better use of his talents, quite frankly. Although this is taking place within a storyline where he is he defects from Dr. Evil, so you can see it almost as if, like, you know, Dr. Evil is his abuser.
Right.
And he's, so I don't know. Maybe that's too meta, but just as, and inappropriate comedy I have absolutely no issue with. I think it's all about execution. It's
So
about
is the
the
difference,
it's about
say,
it's about the clarity of the
of the
aim.
joke?
And this is one of the
So let me ask you this:
yeah.
is it the difference between, say, having him in a baby harness in this movie, and having Peter Dinklage constantly referred to as an angry elf in the movie Elf, but he's a super badass who's gonna not take that and kick his ass for having said it?
Well, I mean,
Is it?
yeah, it's
Because both things are making fun of their height.
There's also, Peter Dinklage in Living in Oblivion as well, where he plays a small person who's hired to do a dream sequence, and actually says, "Have you ever had a dream with a dwarf in?" "Nope, I haven't, and I am a dwarf." So, but it doesn't even need to be articulated in that way. I think the other positive example of how you integrate someone from that community into a big budget movie is Time Bandits, where height is never really mentioned, even though the 5 of the leads of the movie are small people, and it doesn't factor in at any point. So I think something
that's just they're just who has been hired.
Right.
Well, at first, before they steal the map, but
so I like that in this movie that when Vern Troyer is used, as a, let's say, a mime, basically a mime artist, shall we say, a physical comedian. It's not always related to height.
Okay.
So I think that's an interesting and important distinction. But it's a good question and a good point. You can apply the same thing to Fat Bastard in terms of
right.
You pointed to the fact that they do
you have this heartfelt speech at the end of the movie,
and it's like, at that level does that level of self-consciousness change things?
Right.
You have a similar move in this movie where he's no longer fat.
Right. And I guess I'm curious, because we seem to be in a place now, comedically, where if you're going to upset anybody, you just shouldn't make the joke. And I don't know that you can do that.
No, I don't. And I don't think you should do that. And I think, culture needs contradictions in order to function. And I think you need to come from a place of awareness of the context of the joke.
Yeah, okay. I'm with you on that.
And who your target is, and whether that target is someone who's so powerless they can't put up their own fight. They're not in control of the
defense.
They're not in control of the punchline.
All right, that's fair.
And I don't think that's a lot to ask, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. All right. Tangent done.
For now.
Yeah, for now. I'm sure we'll get back.
How much did this movie make?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about Austin Powers in Goldmember, a 2002 film directed by Jay Roach yet again. We talked about everything Jay Roach has done.
Yeah.
Impressive. In the last episode. It's varied and, for the most part, good. There are good movies.
Yeah, he's honed. I don't know if I said in the last episode, but he's kind of honed in on the quality end of Hollywood. Well, not even comedy, like Hollywood dramedy.
Yeah. And in later years, with the 2 HBO movies and Bombshell, he certainly is towing a line within politics that is very interesting to me.
And history, which I suppose.
And history, right?
I suppose you could call this a history movie. Certainly has very many interesting things to say about how we represent history on film.
Right. Okay. This movie had 53% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's 1% more than The Spy Who Shagged Me. With a budget of $63 million and an opening weekend of $73 million. In the USA, $213.3 million. Worldwide, cumulatively, $296.3 million.
And I gave it none of that.
Right, so this is your favorite in the series, my second favorite.
Of the sequels.
Not the series, but the sequels.
Yeah.
So let's talk enormous cold open.
Oh. I mean, the first thing that I'm put in mind of is a recent episode we did on The Dark Knight Rises, where we speculated that Christopher Nolan thought, this is maybe the last time I make a big budget action movie. I'm going to go full Bond on the cold open. And I feel like it feels like Mike Myers is maybe in a similar mindset here. It's like, I don't know whether I'm going to have access to this level of movie making again. I want this to be... I don't want this just to be a parody of Mission Impossible and the Bond movies. I want it to feel like it really is that thing to an eerie degree.
Yeah.
And I was bowled over by that. I mean, the difference between this and a modern day Bond movie is, meaningless.
Well, and I find it interesting because, I just think it's fantastic that Tom Cruise ends up in this cold open because Mission Impossible 2,
yep,
which is, in my mind, really the only unsuccessful Mission Impossible movie.
It's
completely and utterly a failure.
For now, let's say that, yeah.
Right. And that movie came out in 2000. This movie comes out in 2002, and it seems like that's one of the things that Mike Myers is doing, is parodying this terrible movie, and Tom Cruise is just completely on board for it, which I kind of love.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, I immediately went to Mission Impossible because of Tom Cruise and because of the iconography, which is specifically recalling the first two Mission Impossible movies.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the, but what was particularly, I think, just plain eerie to me was that in the same year, 2002, that the Bond movie Die Another Day is released, this movie begins with a driverless car, and in Die Another Day we will get an invisible car.
Right.
And this is what I mean about the differences between the real thing and the parody no longer exist.
Yeah.
But this, I suppose one of the reasons I was so impressed by this movie was it was able to predict so many things that happened in certain movie franchises in Hollywood generally over the past, what has it been, like nearly 20 years since the movie came out. That's hard to say as a human.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how deep to get into this. It sounds like conspiracy theory, but it's not the Mel Gibson movie, an actual conspiracy theory.
Right.
Not the last good Mel Gibson movie.
Oh, wow. Just throwing darts.
Throw that in there. So, in the course of this movie, it's revealed that Dr. Evil and Austin Powers are brothers.
Right.
There is also a scene where Dr. Evil is in prison giving information to Austin Powers. Now, these are the basis of the storylines for both Spectre and, as far as I can tell, the as yet unreleased No Time to Die, from what we've seen from the trailer.
I think they were going more for Silence of the Lambs.
Well, that's the thing, but and I think it is just this amazing command of film history,
Right.
and of film conventions, and their parody of them, that makes this almost universal and timeless.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you got the brother reveal, I immediately thought, because we've just done the movies, Desperado, same thing happens. Hero and villain find out they're brothers.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, maybe that's just a bad sequel convention.
Right.
But it's also a bad sequel convention that is the centerpiece of the most recent Bond movie.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible. It's just an incredible. It's an incredible foresight, and I think that is because Mike Myers is
All right.
a scholar and student of film and comedy.
And everything is sharply coming into focus for why you like this movie so much. Now I fully understand why you appreciate it so much. Because when it is, and all of that's true, when it's working on that level of sitting within franchises and then predicting franchises, yes, okay. My problems start with something as simple as, where's Heather Graham?
But
because you took the time in the last sequel to shunt the first woman aside and bring a new woman in, and you did it brilliantly, and it was hilarious, and you have none of that in that movie. She's just, like, not even mentioned. Not even like a joke like, not even having Basil Exposition say something about her and him saying, "Oh yeah, that bird. Whatever happened to her?" Like no joke even. And to me, that's almost unforgivable.
Interesting.
Considering what they did in the last movie, like it's just such a.
But then isn't that inversion a good gag in itself? Like the fact that in this movie we don't do the continuity and we treat it like actually every other Bond movie. At least at the time, did not refer back to itself. Like, that's how I took it, and I like the same with Fat Bastard just turning up. Like, it's that they're almost weirdly, and I don't know why it applies to this joke and literally no other joke in the movie. They weren't willing to go back there because they'd already done it.
Right.
And it's more on brand to just completely reset.
More on brand for Bond movies. I get that. It's funny you say that because
you raise an interesting
it's an
point.
inversion, and you're right, and maybe that's the joke. But I didn't get it when I saw it, and I didn't get it on my rewatch. It's not where my mind went. I still, it still is. It seems like, I think it's the writer part of me that doesn't like it.
But the idea of sequels and discontinuity is so central to this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because about a third into the movie, we get like a mini prequel, which shows all of the characters at a British boarding school. At a British
boarding school, right.
And it occurred to me at that moment, this is what I mean about the prescience of this movie. It's like, there are prequels that are exactly like that have been made since. Cruella is one of them, that are not parodies.
Right.
And it's really interesting. It hadn't hit me until we talked in the last episode about how The Spy Who Shagged Me came out in 1999.
Right.
So the Star Wars parody that they were doing was very much original trilogy because, they wouldn't have access to a movie that was released at the same time as them. But here, a few years later, they are actually taking on the idea of a prequel. And at the time, this is pre even Batman Begins. Your go-to there would be what's the biggest prequel franchise currently going, and it's Star Wars.
Well, yeah, it's Star Wars.
And what's on their mind is this kind of discontinuity of prequels making out that everyone already knew each other and went to school together. It's like You know, that's how Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones work. And
Right.
it will get worse and worse, and to to the point where we almost can't get away from it as an idea of referring, like sequels are just create this completely fabricated reality in which everyone knew each other before they knew each other, and everything happened before it happened.
Right.
But I think because in the context of that and other kind of overall retconning, which the brother reveal is the centerpiece of, it feels like a deliberate attempt to make this less of a continuation, more of a sort of period resume sequel.
Yeah. All right.
But I mean, you're not wrong in the, lots of, I think I can certainly see people objecting to the idea of framing this around a movie within a movie. I really like that as a framing device and as a storytelling mechanism in this context.
Okay.
I mean, they stole it from Get Shorty, but at least they had the good grace to cast John Travolta and Danny DeVito in the movie.
In the movie.
As almost an apology. Because it is exactly the same. The end of this movie and the end of Get Shorty are exactly the same.
Right.
But I just think it's kind of the way to go, and one of the reasons I think I'm so attracted to the third movie in a series is because they start to get very meta about the formula. There's a kind of comfort level that allows you to be very kind of just get comfortable, just getting very meta with how you're handling the formula.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Scream 3 doesn't work. Here, I think it's a nice, especially if you're in a mode of wrapping up, which I feel like this movie is very much. Feels that like it's the end of the line for the Austin
don't go
Powers
announcing
movies.
Good or bad on other series we haven't done yet, all right?
All I said was that the meta movie element of Scream 3 didn't. I like to think I know something about beer, but nowadays even I get overwhelmed when confronted by the exhaustive selection of craft beers they have at bars, breweries, and even grocery stores. Back in the day you had one, maybe two craft beers to choose from, and if you were confused, you ordered a Guinness. But in beerstinations like San Diego, the craft beer options lately are in double, sometimes even triple digits. So what's a beer drinker to do? You need what I need, the Vegas Beer Guys. Your beer of choice should be a perfect blend of malt and hops. And so a live show about beer needs that same balance. And the Vegas Beer Guys matches beer expert Dan Aker with self-proclaimed beer novice Stephen J. Weiss. The results are eminently drinkable. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram. They'll try new beers, they'll tell you about beer. Think of them as your beer Sherpas guiding you up a foamy-headed mountain to reach the peak of your pint. God, I need a beer.
And we're back once again, ladies and gentlemen. Tom and I are here discussing Austin Powers in Goldmember, the 2002 sequel. All right, Tom, we haven't gotten very far into the plot of this movie, but this movie doesn't get very far. We have, we have the cold open, then we have that another big movie set dance scene.
Yeah.
Which I do like watching Steven Spielberg do backflips and shit.
Well, the whole thing is like a kind of holistic tribute to movie history in various different ways. We have kind of classic Hollywood musicals being pastiched. The whole idea of having Hollywood, like recent Hollywood stars of the last, say, 15, 20 years, play the popular character.
Yeah, I mean,
the biggest
Tom
characters
Cruise,
in this
good.
franchise.
Gwyneth Paltrow, great. Danny DeVito, fantastic. Then you see Kevin Spacey, and you go, well, that's a shame.
Well,
but you can't really blame the movie for that. I mean...
No, given his fame, I mean, obviously, I'm sure everyone knew, but, you know, in the moment, it would have been the go-to choice. It's not just between Tom Cruise and Kevin Spacey, it's like, how many people do I need to feel uncomfortable about in one scene?
Right.
And then, I mean, again, this speaks to the whole I've never seen this before. Britney, bitch!
Yeah.
And just to give you an indication of how excited I was, I don't think you know how much I love Britney Spears. You don't know that, right?
No.
We've never come to that. I'll tell you how excited I was to see Britney. This is what I wrote. Britnet, bitch! Because I was so excited I couldn't type the word Britney.
I wrote
but I didn't go back and correct. But I didn't go back and correct it. Because I, like
you, love Britney.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I didn't go back and correct it because I wanted to remind myself how excited I was. And I love the fact that she does like a mini music video in the middle of all this.
Mm-hmm.
Like the entertainment level of this movie is just so high. And like, you know, like this movie has the at the time reigning and subsequently reigning Queen of Pop in it.
Right.
That's crazy. That's a crazy amount of star quality.
I will not
and they
disagree.
both do musical performances. So I was absolutely delighted for that. That kind of cameo. You know, that cameo. Mike Myers just really putting it, literally like plugging all his connections. And I remember him talking in an interview about, you know, the challenges of doing that and managing everyone's schedule, you know, all these huge music star schedules to get them appear in like even one frame of the movie. And it felt, when he talked about it, it felt like, well, this is like a real passion project of this is how I want this.
But here's what's interesting to me as well. I saw this movie in the theater. I didn't remember any of this.
Interesting.
I did not remember Tom Cruise, Gwyneth Paltrow, Danny DeVito, Kevin Spacey, or Britney Spears appearing in this movie. They were all happy surprises.
I don't think I could ever forget it.
I know. It's weird.
Interesting.
But I also, you know, maybe I equate that to I've seen the original Austin Powers, and I saw The Spy Who Shagged Me more. I saw this movie once in the theater, and I don't think I've seen it since. So.
And then there's people in this movie who are kind of don't necessarily deserve to be stars, but ended up being people of prominence. I'm talking about Carrie-Anne Inaba, of course, from Dancing with the Stars.
I was going to say the same thing. Now, like, how do you feel about that scene, though?
I feel like I don't want to hear know that she played two characters called Fook Me and Fook You. I don't want to hear her judge another dancer ever. I am not willing to take her judgment seriously anymore. I mean, it's so.
But you're blaming her?
No, I'm not blaming her. That was just something funny to say.
All right, good.
It's like a nexus of all the Mike Myers fetishes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Split screen, the same person playing two people.
Right.
Split screen. You know, obviously, the man's got a fetish for You Only Live Twice, because all, like, 60% of the imagery of Austin Powers comes from that one Bond movie.
Right.
And he probably has, like, an Asian girl fetish, too, I think. So that's how it read to me. It's worth a good cringe or two.
But you don't put it on the level of how upset Vern made you in the last movie?
I mean, I think, you know, because the name isn't just racist, it's also a pun. You see, it's all
Right.
about. I feel the same about Goldmember as well. Like the relief that washed over me after all the ableism and sizeism in the movie, that we were kind of mocking the Dutch, and we weren't even mocking, actual Dutch culture. We were mocking national stereotypes of Dutch people.
Right.
Like, I thought, yeah, this is definitely the direction to take it with. I'm definitely way more comfortable with, would you like a smoke and a pancake? Because it's very clear that is not the reality of Dutch people that Mike Myers is mocking. He's mocking what we know about them from a distance.
Okay.
And I felt here, it was all in service of the, fuck me, that's quick.
Uh-huh.
And like the racism and the pun were almost in a kind of harmonious balance, and I think it's the same with Goldmember.
Okay.
And I'm more comfortable in that area, but yeah, it does. Anytime anyone is, putting on this kind of real,
I do have some unfortunate
old timey fake Japanese of the 70s and 80s
right.
movies. It's hard to take, but I see, like, it's all about clarity. I can see the joke behind it, and the joke is working on a level that I'm just about comfortable with.
I did a fact check on you. I have some unfortunate news for you.
What's that?
Carrie Ananaba doesn't play both characters.
Oh, she doesn't?
No, it's two different actors.
Oh,
so now you're leaning into stereotypes.
Yeah. I did think that I did note that twin split screen looked remarkably good.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, good job.
And
good job, everyone.
Diane Mazzotta is the other actor.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah. All right. So I think do you like the boarding school stuff? Like, does all of them going to school together, does that work for you?
As a parody of what prequels do, were those kids dubbed with Mike Myers' voice?
I think so.
I was like, because I thought, okay, are these kids dubbed by Mike Myers, or is this the best group of actors we've seen in the series so far?
Right.
Either way, they're very good.
Uh-huh.
They're doing a great job of physically,
absolutely,
embodying the characters. I love the old man runner gag.
Mm-hmm.
This old man who's pointing, and the old toothless man pointing and laughing at Austin in two different historical periods. Right. I think is wonderful. So yeah, I didn't have an issue. I thought it was a fun jab at, I suppose, going back even further, like, again, it's like there's something that a movie like Young Sherlock Holmes does completely unironically. Mm-hmm. But we're doing it here to poke fun at that.
All right.
You not like it?
Well, it's not that I don't like it. It's that there's so much in this movie that I think it's almost comedian laugh at it, where I go, yeah, that's funny. But it doesn't actually make me laugh.
Not like the fisting silhouette gag in Spy Who Shagged
Apparently
Me.
not.
But I
gotta tell you, the silhouette shit in this movie, I mean, that really made me laugh.
Yeah, I have that same note, but I also just
arm as a dick, like thumping a table, that kind of shit. Fuck.
In the same part of the movie that we're talking about, I just thought that I could tell, compared to Spy Who Shagged Me, that the physical comedy was much more stable and much funnier because of it. Like, they didn't have to add a gross out element to every piece of physical humor.
I'll go along with you on that, because the least successful thing to me in The Spy Who Shagged Me is all the gross out humor, or most of it.
Yeah.
Especially
just the fact that, like something as simple as Dr. Evil opening the door of the cell he's in.
Right.
Like, a really simple gag. And right. I feel like the fact that that is delivered without, him. I don't know how you'd make that disgusting, but they've done it before. So they'd find a way if they wanted to, but it feels like they don't want to.
My favorite part of that gag,
that's a good gag.
Is that
the door was open all the time is a good gag.
Yeah, it is. But my favorite part of that, too, is that he walks back into the cell.
Yes.
I mean, that's just fucking amazing.
That's great.
So, and like I said, there's just so much about this movie that I do like, but I think it's...
Well, you think it's a good movie.
I do.
Let us not forget.
I do think it's a good movie. But I'm really trying to reconcile, like, what you appreciate and what I appreciate. And it's starting to dawn on me that you have a broader sense of this movie and where the jokes, how the jokes were formed, what they originate from. And all of my problems have to do with the narrative.
Right.
So I don't like that we don't know what happened to Heather Graham. I don't like that we have time machines again. Mm-hmm. It seems sort of unnecessary, and it kind of muddles the movie for me.
Except you get
I don't like
to
that we keep adding
historical
characters for Mike Myers to be in or to do, and like the movie just starts to feel like it's bursting at the seams for me a little bit.
Interesting. I like that we get to go to a completely different... We get to have a new satirical target in the 70s. So we're using the time machine again, but we're going to a different historical period, which is something that they didn't... They just went back and forth between the 60s and now, up until this point.
Uh-huh.
So it was nice to have... It was just nice to have
another place to go. I'll give you that.
Other anachronisms to parody.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you that. I think it's plenty nice to go to a different place. But to me, it's like you already did.
Especially
when
Beyonce's there.
Well, yes.
Sorry?
But to me, it's, this is a narrative thing you already did. So think of something else.
Okay.
Again,
you could wage the same argument against any Bond movie.
Sure. And would. I loved the bit with Nathan Lane.
I was just going to say, I have Nathan Lane lip-syncing, and after saying in the last movie that the use of Mike Myers' famous talented friends was kind of hit or miss, I think this movie is far more of a So I Married an Axe Murderer level. Everyone gets their moment to shine, except maybe Charles Napier, which is a problem.
Criminal.
Yeah. Especially, I just saw an episode of Star Trek where he plays a space hippie who is mostly naked and sings Doors-like songs with a harp.
Wow.
I feel like this guy could probably manage a bit of comedy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you just have to watch the Blues Brothers to know that.
That's true. That is completely true. And then we get to, of course, we get to the man himself, Michael Caine. And, I've said before that obviously, like, the level of authenticity that brings to the parody. Like we've said before, when the Naked Gun movies have the people that you would cast if you were doing this seriously, it jumps up a level.
Right.
Because it's better than getting a comedian to do, because you find that the whole idea behind those Zucker movies is you get the people who are actually in these kinds of movies to do it, and they become comic giants out of it. And I feel like
I always felt like I wish he was in it more. It's just like it's such small bursts of Michael Caine.
Oh, but those bursts,
they're great.
His material is perfect whenever he's on screen. Apart from when he looks at Vern Troyer's penis, I don't know why that scene's in the movie. He's also too good of an actor for that scene to be in the movie. I think they wanted that to come across as as comedic,
Mm-hmm.
but he's playing it straight,
right.
And that worries me.
Right.
And Vern Troyer looks worried in a way I'd not seen him even when he's being kicked like a baby. A football. Sorry, I'm thinking.
I was like,
don't kick a baby. In fact, I would say as a general rule, don't do anything to a baby that happens to Mini-Me in any of these movies.
Do you kick your babies?
No.
Okay,
no.
good.
I'm thinking of South Park.
Right.
Like the safe, the good version of baby kicking. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, and maybe they could have broken it up a bit better and found more for him to do. But I love the fact that when he's on screen, the material is so strong. And some of my favorite moments, when they're talking in Cockney rhyming slang to each other.
Yeah, okay.
Incomprehensible, the Bognor Regis tea kettle, and then she shat on a turtle kind of dialogue. Right. Which, again, that kind of dialect comedy, when Mike Myers does that well, it's excellent. And there's some even great subtitle jokes in this movie as well, which is something we haven't quite seen since Wayne's World. And he just, again, I nails that whole sequence. There's the Dutch line, which I quoted in the previous episode. And we also get introduced to Goldmember at this time, and I was kind of I thought, after introducing a few new characters that didn't really land, I thought this was better, but they were trying less hard. I
like that they were trying less hard, but he didn't land as well for me either.
But
because also narratively, like I think I mentioned in our ranking episodes, I have a note here that's like, where the fuck is Goldfinger? Because he just disappears for 25. Goldmember. He disappears for 25 fucking minutes.
Although, where the fuck is Goldfinger is a good note, because he is not in this movie.
Yeah.
But the things when I think about, what's the shtick of Fat Bastard, he finds different ways to say, I'm fat and I like to eat things. But the shtick of Goldmember is just has a slight surrealist element that is also...
He literally has a Goldmember, and he also likes to eat his skin.
Okay, yeah, but the fact, it's Fat Bastard is one joke stretched out, whereas Goldmember is a lot of non sequiturs combined in one.
Right,
he's
got gymnast level qualities that allow him.
But that's what he eats his own skin. He when he makes a reference, he says the name of the thing he's referencing in hushed tones afterwards. Things that I like, that unusual, slightly surrealist quality, and I think that's the story of Dr. Evil's success. Is the kind of, we get the idea of the character, it's a parody of the Bond villain, but there's so many non sequiturs around that, and I feel like they come some way with Goldmember too, or at least it's more interesting. There's no reason why just because he's Dutch he should eat his own skin. But,
of course not.
It's
yeah.
So I like the fact that they've gone off on a little bit of a surrealist tangent in characterizing this, and Fat Bastard's almost the opposite of that. It's like, well, what if we just drove this joke into the ground, David Letterman style?
Yeah, right. Right.
So,
I do like. I like Dr. Evil's submarine.
Yeah,
I like.
Again, I feel like this is Mike Myers just wants specific Bond pulls from this movie. We're not just doing general Bond anymore. Well, we're gonna have the submarine. We're gonna go to Tokyo.
Right.
We're gonna do everything. We're gonna
go to
Tokyo. My favorite Bond
movies. I really, really love the sumo wrestler walkover, live and let die, crocodile walk.
Yes,
that's hysterical to me.
Yes, absolutely. It's how many can we get? How many references can we get into one set piece? And I was really enjoying that sequence until I realized it was a backdoor for Fat Bastard to come back in. And it's I should have known. Sumo wrestling, I should have known that this is where we were going with this. But for some reason, I didn't mind it as much. Maybe it's because it's surrounded by
Well, I think part of that is that
level of comedy.
They weren't going just for gross out, just looking at Fat Bastard.
Yeah, right.
He was like less greasy, fewer moles. He looked better.
And then you get like a bathhouse fight scene that's like an eerie foreshadow of Kill Bill.
Yeah, right.
A year later.
Right.
I mean, you know, maybe that's the real reason that Tarantino cast Mike Myers in Inglourious Basterds. It's like, I owe you that.
I got you one. All right, let's take another break. If you like podcasts like I do, boy, do I have a treat for you. You need to
stay on target
and check out the Sounds in Cinema podcast. Listen as your host, sound designer and music creator Tony Parham, and co-host, musical performer and sound lover Derek Hansen, D-Rock if you're nasty, and I am, discuss all things sound related to film, television, stage, and theatrical productions. They discuss environmental sounds, bioacoustics, dialogue, the nature of communication through sound, but as an added bonus, they drink beer and try to
stay on target.
Find them wherever you get your podcasts and listen to the pure mania of a man who can charitably be described as Doug, the dog from Up, and another man with a soothing and sultry voice trying to get that man to
stay on target.
That's the Sounds in Cinema podcast. Tune in and listen to the sounds they are creating just for you. We're back. Once again, Tom and I are here hashing out Austin Powers in Goldmember, the Jay Roach film from 2002. Sequel. I should say sequel. All right, Tom.
That's implied, to use another sequel reference, that's implied in our mandate.
Yeah, right.
I suppose that's technically a prequel reference, but, you know.
When last we left, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about, I've been talking about the things I don't like. Let's talk about the things you don't like and the things I do like.
Yeah. The things I don't like. God, I just had one. Oh, I know. The mole.
Okay, I was going to ask you about the mole.
This is an instance of borrowing a joke from another Mike Myers movie, Wayne's World 2, Kevin Pollak and Astigmatism.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same essential gag. They've changed the affliction, but it's the same gag. And that's done so perfectly. I just saw it as a pale imitation of that.
Okay.
That didn't really work, and a misuse of Fred Savage. I thought
that was the thing. I thought the only thing funny about any of that was Fred Savage playing it completely straight.
Yes,
like he's the only person that
he's worth more than that.
Yeah, exactly. He was the only person that brought me to an almost chuckle.
Yes,
and I was amazed like how many times we went back to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's I would have, like, if I had my choice of runners, I would have gone with the old man again. Like, I would have seen that old man laughing at Austin, the old toothless man laughing at Austin, like 6 more times. Yeah. And had, 7 less mole scenes.
So, and let me ask you this, because you rightly, in one of our previous episodes, I don't know if it was the Spy Who Shagged, I think it was in our Spy Who Shagged Me episode, you were talking about that there's an arc in the first movie and this movie for Austin. And in this one, it's the relationship with his father. And you have that runner of dad never being there for him. Yeah. And they're having to reconcile all of that. Yeah. But for me, I could appreciate that, again, that there was an arc for Austin in there again. But it also felt tacked on to me.
Yeah. I can understand that. One of the things that
I should be saying things I like.
one of the things. Well, I'll give you this. I like that. I like the way that Austin's arc came full circle in the scene. Well, we haven't even talked about Beyonce yet.
I know.
When Beyonce is, sorry, Foxy Cleopatra, Beyonce, he's teaching her how to use the internet.
Right.
And I thought that was a night we were coming full circle from the original movie where Elizabeth Hurley is teaching him about the modern world. Now he's teaching someone else about the modern world, and I thought that was a really nice button to complete his transformation, his character transformation.
All right.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think of Beyonce in this movie? To me, just the fact that we get to see Beyonce do a musical performance is worth whatever else she does in the movie. But
sure.
What do you think?
I am struck by a couple of things. One, how long ago this was, and that she's done almost nothing since.
In movies. Well, The Lion King.
Yeah. But I mean, is that it? Because I don't know if there's anything else. I got to be honest. Like
Lemonade is technically a movie.
Right, fine. But
I'm sorry. I'm automatically defending Beyonce. Sorry.
As you should.
It's my way. But I mean, you're certainly right in the way. I don't think she's that great an actress.
I'll agree with that.
I don't think she thinks she's that great an actress.
That might be true. And
I think
of the three
she's
women,
a performance artist.
Of the three women in these movies, I think her performance feels the most forced.
Yeah, I mean, I think, she just, she has that musical performance that gives her the edge over the other two for me.
Okay.
Plus the fact that even though she's not a particularly good actress, she does a great blaxploitation heroine.
Oh yeah.
Pastiche. Like she does that it's not really acting, it's kind of cosplay. But it's great.
That's an excellent way to put it. So as an actor, I can see not terrible acting, but not great acting.
No.
But I like that idea of the cosplay. That hits home to me in a way that feels fair, and
she's not part of the emotions of the movie
right.
in the same way Heather Graham's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's all in the Michael Caine part of the movie.
Right.
And I think they got the right man for that job, and they got the right woman
and I guess
for this job.
I guess one of the other things I feel like I'm missing in this movie is in the first movie, Elizabeth Hurley, she's always kind of keeping him at arm's length, but is drawn to him.
Yeah.
And like you said, she teaches him about life as it is now, and to still stay himself, but be a better man within the scope of the 90s.
Right.
Then he finds
it's interesting that The Spy Who Shagged Me does none of that, given that it's a more recent movie, which says it all about how the late 90s shit the bed when it came to political correctness.
Right.
Like, even the first Austin Powers movie cares enough about political correctness to give it lip service.
But there is at least still a relationship component in that movie.
Yeah.
And part of that is...
But that feels tacked on to me.
Oh, really?
More tacked on. I don't think they're even trying to tack anything on here with regards to a relationship.
That's what I mean. This movie...
She is just the Powers girl for this movie.
And that's it. And so
yeah.
I kind of missed, I kind of wanted them to discover their relationship, or I wanted that relationship to blossom.
Yeah.
So that she could be shunted to the side for another movie.
Right.
No,
I can see that. I think that's a good note.
All right.
I think the for me the father-son stuff I think landed better than it did for you.
Yeah.
Because at some points I was watching it and thinking, this is done almost better than it is in, say, The Last Crusade. I believe it more. Which they're definitely referencing.
Yeah.
Definitely referencing.
But I think a lot of that has to do with how fucking great Michael Caine is, too.
Right. And I think, but on the screenwriting level, I think it's actually kind of, I don't know, impressive. I don't know if that's the right word. The way that they thematically link the family reveals to the ongoing tensions between Dr. Evil and Scott. Has anyone ever analyzed these movies in this way?
I know,
I don't
right?
know.
Right.
But
and
from
I
a
was
narrative
bring
point,
that up. That portion.
I was
of the
like,
story.
oh, so all this eventually will matter. Like all of it will matter. I thought that's good screenwriting. Like it's like we're not forget. Like you say, this movie chooses to forget a lot of things that have happened.
Right.
But
because that's
it's actually not forgot the idea that it's gonna that this new family dynamic is gonna change things between Dr. Evil and Scott.
And that's the portion of the movie that I really love.
Yeah.
I love everything between Scott and Dr. Evil. I love physical bits about him losing his hair. I could watch 20 straight minutes of Dr. Evil, whether it's seeing Mini-Me for the first time or seeing his haircut or, whatever surprises and shocks him when he gives the big stares. I could watch 20 straight minutes of that and laugh every time.
Yeah.
That's how funny I think it is. But I love the idea of Scott coming into the chair next to him and Mini-Me, it's like, you can leave the room now.
Yeah.
All of that works for me. And that's the narrative part of the story that I latch onto and really like in this movie.
Yeah.
And then finally, I mean, we've already kind of talked about the shadow screen scene.
Yeah, and it's again, it's like going back to the roots of physical comedy. It's two men standing on each other pretending to be one person.
Right. It's
a very old and obvious joke, and you do it in silhouette, and you add all the stuff that you've been talking about with the penis arm, and when because Mini-Me's wearing the bones of it are great.
Some sort of breathing apparatus. So at one point, and he cuts the cord on it. So at one point, it looks like he gave birth to Mini-Me.
Yeah,
and Mini-Me cut his own cord, and all of that is like brilliant to me. But all of that, I think, comes before, isn't it? Before, because I could watch again 20 straight minutes of Michael Myers on top of Vern Troyer's shoulders, with the little feet walking down the halls and like losing his balance and running into shit. Yeah. Like I fucking loved all of that. Like to me, that's like such great physical comedy.
And there's a sense of
I can eat it with a spoon. I love it.
Right, and I think it's the simpler version of the fisting silhouette gag from the previous movie, and it works better because it's simpler, more basic. Doesn't mean it's any less rude at times, but it's just the point of it is a bit more elemental.
Okay,
like it's funny because they're two guys on top of each other. And, and Neil Malarkey as the physician is imagining, it's the same gag, essentially. Yeah. It's like we're imagining all these things, but they're not.
I mean, these movies are
they're not things that necessarily make you sick to the stomach, and that's not the point of it.
I mean, I never felt sick to my stomach watching a tennis racket be hammered into Mike Myers' ass in silhouette. Makes me laugh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is better.
I agree with you. I do think this one's better, so I'll give you that.
I think there's a again. I think and sometimes comedy is trial and error, and I think when you find the right flow of gags, and you're able to stitch the gags together in a coherent way, I think this movie just does that better than the previous movie.
All right,
but that's not to say that they weren't trying to do that with the last movie. It's just something was slightly off. And I think here they're more on, and they kind of hit the mark more
often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when sequences turn up, it feels somewhat organic. It's not, but it feels that way just because the flow of comedy makes sense conceptually.
All right.
I think.
Were you surprised?
Like Ozzy Osbourne.
What's that?
Like Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, right.
I mean, this movie, just saying off mic, this movie is preaching to the choir. It's like low-hanging fruit for me.
Yeah.
When, how tired am I of that, montage, celebrity saying dirty words. This is the third time we've seen it in two movies. for the fact that the button of the joke is Ozzy Osbourne almost like Monty Python style, telling them what a terrible joke it is, and how tired their formula is. I just loved it.
Yeah,
absolutely loved it. I mean, and it's we need to remember like how big the Osbournes were
at the time. Yeah,
at that time, they're still like in the cultural consciousness. Like they haven't gone away, but I'm sure that would hit harder at the time.
Absolutely.
But it's also, you know, the comedic value, what that series was all about. I'm a big fan of the Osbournes reality show. It's mining the, it's like various people in the media realized the comedic potential of Ozzy Osbourne as a kind of real life Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
And they mined that, and I feel like Mike Myers is like, I'm having a piece of that. And it works really well because it's almost like the last cameo you expect.
Yeah, right.
At least now it's like the last cameo you expect, but it's brilliant because it's calling into question why we.
Well, it was a welcome surprise for me too, because like I said, I didn't remember that the Osbournes were in this movie, and when I see them and I see the joke that he's making about the joke that they're making,
yeah,
I'm like, fucking, this is great. I'm on board, and that's what I meant about like. There are just too many good jokes in this movie for me to not say it's a good movie.
Yeah. On the other hand, we have a joke about Subway's Jared.
Yeah.
Which, again, you know, when you reference pop culture, you're playing craps with
exactly
history.
Right. And
you know, on Spacey and Jared, they lost. On the Osbournes and Hollywood talent agencies being a piece of shit, they won.
Right. So they're batting 500, and if you're batting 500, you're going into the Hall of Fame. Like, right. That's what's going to happen.
Well, I guess the biggest part is, you know, having the foresight to know that Britney and Beyonce are still going to be, like, you know, the Elvises of our
especially time. Beyonce. Like, I feel like getting Beyonce in this film, what a coup.
Well, Britney would have been, had circumstances been different, as we now know. Had she not been, you know, a prisoner in her own life.
Right.
You know, no one's doing that to Beyonce, although Jay-Z tried. But didn't. She used him for what he was worth, not the other way around.
Fucking amazing.
She made lemonade out of those Jay-Z lemons.
Fucking Tom Stewart just bringing it today. That's fantastic.
I'm not trying to. This is just genuinely how I feel about Beyonce and Britney. The fact that I get extra Britney at the end of the movie, I mean, if I was in any doubt that this was a good movie. The credits of this movie know instinctively what I want to see.
Well, I mean,
what I want to be called back.
Right.
It gives me all of it.
We should get to your credit check, but before that, let's just briefly talk. Do you like Dr. Evil coming to Austin's side and helping in the end?
Yeah, I mean, again,
I do
it feels
like that. I think that
it feels like what you do when it's the end of the line, where it's like, well, we're not gonna go. It's like, let's make it so we can't go back from this.
So, but here's the interesting thing to me is that, I mean, you're talking about them seeing this movie as the end of the line, and that's what I thought too. And then I was really surprised to see Scott all by himself with his maniacal laugh setting up another movie, essentially. And that just never happening. Although I think there's talk that there will be another Austin Powers movie.
It reminds me of the same. We had the same conversation, and I didn't even mention that. I'm thinking about the past spoof sequels that we've done on this podcast. Like Airplane 2 was the first one we did.
Right.
That ends in a similar way, where I was like, I thought like the post credit sting was a joke, And you and Matt were like, no, they really wanted another movie.
Right.
And I feel the same about this. And now you're telling me that in reality there's another movie coming, and it might be based around
maybe
Scott as I hope it is, because he's great. And then the other part of this, which speaks to the kind of that this is not only a spoof, it's a spoof that refers to other spoofs, is that the Naked Gun Queen Elizabeth impersonator appears in this movie.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And at that point, I'm like, this feels like worlds colliding in a way that you don't get in most movies.
That's true.
So, yeah. I mean, I suppose that's... And again, that's like a... That's interesting, because all you've said about this movie not caring about continuity, and then I suppose the final twist of the movie is that it cares about continuity.
Right.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've already talked about the meta movie ending. It's exactly the same of Get Shorty. I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. It also reminded me a little bit of Blazing Saddles.
Right.
I think it might be a kind of coded...
Yeah.
Like ending in the movie theater, seeing the movie.
But I mean, it's like shot for shot, even with the same fucking actor.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Get Shorty. You know.
Well, it's not Harvey Keitel,
I mean,
but it's not Harvey Keitel doing Dennis Farina.
But with Danny DeVito there, you're like, fuck, wow.
Which, you know, hey, it's like Mel Brooks says, you've got to know who to steal from. And as far as I'm concerned, stealing from Get Shorty is no crime. It is a sign of good taste.
That's knowing where to go to, what well to draw from.
And speaking of which, I think the Ozzy Osbourne blooper reel is worth the price of admission alone.
Okay.
I love the fact that they've not had a blooper reel in either movie before, and what they rightly decide to do a blooper reel for is solely around Ozzy Osbourne fucking up his lines.
Yeah,
because it's it's great, and then you get extra Britney in the credits. And then you get something which is which I'm conflicted about, because at this point, I'm thinking, oh, it's a shame we didn't have Burt Bacharach in all three movies. But the vehicle for doing that is a recap montage. So half of me's going like, my favorite songwriters of all time, recap montage. Favorite songwriters of all time, recap montage. And just the music in this movie. Like when it's all played over the credits, it is just incredible. I mean, there's an Alfie pastiche, like in a movie. What's it all about, Austin? The Beyonce theme song, Britney. There's a remix of a Stone song. There's
so
a really
happy
good
right now.
remix of
You're
a Stone
so
song
happy.
in here. I mean, it shits on Madonna and Scary Spice, I'm afraid. And nothing against Madonna, but we've got peak Beyonce versus slowly going out of fashion Madonna. So the other
we know where your heart lies.
I love Madonna too, but you just can't compare at that time. At that time.
No, you're right. Yeah, no. Not at that time.
In the last episode, I asked the question, and by the way, we haven't answered this yet. Why is Rob Cohen thanked in the credits? For this movie, I want to know why. Mm-hmm. So please, write in if you know. This movie, I want to know, why is Billy D. Williams thanked in the credits? And I really hope to God it's not because he was cut from the movie. Because if that's true, this guy cannot catch a break. That's 2 to 3 franchises that he has been cut from. If that's true. Batman,
Wow.
Star Wars until Carrie Fisher died. They didn't want him. They didn't want him back. They had no choice.
Right.
And potentially this one. Unless it's... The only thing I can think of is that they use something from a blaxploitation movie that he was in, and that's racial profiling, but I don't know.
Man, that slipped by me. I didn't even see that.
I really, really hope he was not cut from the movie. And
me too. We got to get somebody in the know.
Why is Rob Cohen
Please
thanked, and
know.
why is Billy D. Williams thanked? If it's the same reason, we're also interested. If it's the same, if they delivered the same service.
All right, anything left on your credit check?
The most important thing. There is a disclaimer at the end of the credits. I can barely say this. That says, I'm paraphrasing here, but it essentially says, the baby carrier that's used to harness Mini-Me in this movie should not be used on actual children. As if it's incredible to me that anyone would do anything to a child that happens to Mini-Me in this movie.
Right?
So there we go. Yeah.
That's a firm
It's also
no.
a pretty...
Don't kick your baby into poles
even if you're British.
Or walls.
But it's also a pretty good indication that
especially
that disclaimer
if you're
sort
British.
of says it all, I think, about how how you probably shouldn't be doing this to Vern Troyer either. If you have to put a disclaimer that you wouldn't do this to a child. Anyway, there we go. That's all I have.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, if you have something for us on the subject of Austin Powers, by all means, let us know. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Send us an email to everythingsequel@gmail.com. For Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions, I am Michael Shantz of the How Dare You Awards. You'll hear us next time with our pitches for a sequel. Say goodbye, Tom.
I took a Viagra, got stuck in my throat.